Hello, how you all doing? Sorry to interrupt here, but I just want to quickly grab your attention to say remember to like and subscribe on my videos if you're enjoying the content to help me show that you want to see more of what I'm putting out. But that's all I have to say. That being said, let's get going. Our story begins a whole year after the events of our last part. Goku and Piccolo are both training with Whis to push forward onto the next level of power Whis believes best suited for them. However, when Goku and Piccolo are starting to show signs of fatigue, Whis recommends a break, which the pair are happy to do. As the Namekian and Saiyan sit on the ground near the large body of water they once fought over, Goku takes this chance to check in back at home, using Whis' staff, learning that his second grandchild is due any day now, with Adele looking like she is about ready to pop. Goku smiles at hearing this, promising to be home before the baby's born, but admitting he's really close to discovering a breakthrough with his training, and he feels that he's right there, he just needs a little bit more time. Bulma sighs hearing her husband say this, scolding him for not having been home in well over a year, telling him that the few minutes they see each other every other week through these calls is not enough, and reminding him that she asked him to come back to speak to Cell because he hasn't been himself in ages. Goku flinches hearing this, puts his hands together and apologises to his wife once more. However, seeing this, Bulma chuckles and smiles, telling her husband it's fine. She understands that this training means a lot to him, and after everything he's done over the years, this is a small price to pay. After all, he's saved the world, herself, and their son so many times. If this is what he wants to do, he can do it. She just admits to missing him. A sentiment shared by the Saiyan, who loudly shouts to his children, who we can see in the distance, to keep up with their training, as he'll be home soon and cannot wait to hear what they've been up to. All three of Goku's kids shout back that they're looking forward to seeing him again. As Whis signals it's time to get back to training, Goku says goodbye, promising to be home before Videl has the baby, and hanging up. As he stands up, stretching, Piccolo asks his rival why he hasn't returned home yet. Goku admits that he can feel himself getting close to unlocking a new form, the thing he's been spending this last year working on. He just needs something to help him trigger it, and he's hoping he will find that with this training. Piccolo can relate to this to a small degree. He's already unlocked the form he was working towards with Beerus's guidance, but admittedly, having a transformation and using it is very unique to Piccolo. He's never felt it before, and it's taken him some time to adjust to it. Alongside the fact that it's had no real-world experience, Piccolo isn't sure how well it will work in an actual battle. And as if hearing this, Champa and Vados make themselves known, as the events leading to the tournament between the 6th and the 7th happen like in canon, with the change of Goku having more tack at asking Champa for the tournament, with Goku and Piccolo also being able to pick apart the obvious lie Beerus tells of him being the second strongest mortal he has ever fought, meaning Goku and Piccolo head to Earth to recruit 3 warriors instead of just 2. At first they assumed this would be an easy task, Trunks, Gohan, Cell, but when asking the 3, Trunks is the only one willing to partake in the tournament. Gohan admits to wanting to stay on Earth with Videl since his wife is looking like she is moments away from popping, plus it means someone can keep track of Capsule Corp while everyone's away. While Cell weirdly gives Goku the runaround, as when the orange gi wearing Saiyan goes looking for his friend, he's unable to find him. Bulma and Trunks sharing how Cell has been giving everyone the slip for a long time now. Bulma almost looking like she's gonna cry when saying this, admitting that she hasn't seen her best friend in so long. But Goku comforts her at this, reminding her that Cell had said he was looking for his own peace and place in this world. Maybe it's just taking him longer than he expected. Cheering Bulma up ever so slightly, Goku promises that when they get back from the tournament, he'll go up with her to see Cell. Something which gets the girl to smile, and makes everyone else smile, seeing how Goku is easily able to cheer his daughter up. But Goku is now left with a bit of a dilemma, as he isn't sure who to bring along. If he can't bring Cell or Gohan, he's left a bit short on options. Some of the humans would do, but he thinks about it a little longer, and actually has an idea. Assuming that the Principal Saiyans and Nappa, who are still going under their Kai training, should not only be decently strong, but desperately down for a good fight. Something which the Saiyan is correct in thinking, as the team of Goku, Trunks, Piccolo, Vegeta and Nappa are made to be the team for Universe 7. As the day of the tournament comes around, most of Earth's forces head off to watch it, only Gohan, Videl and Cell stay on Earth. As Goku uses the small travel time to the tournament ground, catching up with his family and meeting his first grandchild, Cargo, Goku hugs his firstborn grandbaby. Bulma laughs at watching her husband with the kid, as the Saiyan happily chats away with Trunks and Eraser, catching up on how they've both and catching up on all he's missed out on, all the while he holds Bulma on his shoulders, who joins in the conversation where she can. But as they arrive to the tournament ground, Goku is in a bit of shock to learn there is a written test. In this timeline, Goku might perform ever so slightly better due to who his wife is, with Nappa having the lowest grade of the bunch, while Trunks aces the test. As Trunks announces since he aced the test, he wants to go first, something which Beerus doesn't argue against, assuming that everyone but Goku and Piccolo should go down with relative ease. As Trunks jumps down into the arena floor, he unsheaths the Z-Sword ready to fight, show off his newfound skills with the weapon. However, Champa is quick to point out weapons are banned from the tournament in hopes of crippling this fighter. Trunks is upset but shrugs his shoulders as he hands the weapon over to Vados, who holds the sword with ease, but also senses the presence of a godly soul within the blade, alerting Champa to the news. At hearing this, Beerus turns beet red, realising why that blade had always looked so familiar to him. He shouts out to Vados to not release the monster was sealed within the blade. Champa is in a bit of shock to see his brother so worked up, wondering how strong that thing in there must be, or how scared his brother must be of it. So, in order to annoy his brother, or endanger him, or even cripple some of his fighters, he orders the angel to release the creature inside the blade. Trunks and Shin both try to speak out against them, not wanting to play with a Kai treasure, but it's too late as Vados taps the sword with her staff. A bright light erupts from the blade, revealing an old-looking Kai who smiles at finally being free. Looking around, the Kai not only spots other Kais from his universe and another, but the god who sealed him away. Elder Kai, not being too afraid of Beerus, quickly hurls insults towards the god of destruction. However, the fear he has of the god is once again relit when Beerus screams out for the Kai to shut his mouth and turning his attention towards Champa, telling his brother to stay out of his universe's business in the future. Champa is in hysterics, seeing how annoyed his brother is, but the silenced Elder Kai is approached by both Trunks and Shin. Shin welcomes the eldest Kai for his return to the world of the living before explaining the current situation, while Trunks offers a handshake, apologising for not realising he was sealed away in the sword for all these years. Elder Kai is slightly shocked to hear the boy was able to not only pull the sword from the stone, but also to wield it with such ease. And once learning that if they lose this tournament, all it means is that the world might be in a different universe, Elder Kai doesn't really care. It doesn't super affect him, so he heads up to the spectators booth, but tells Trunks he might have something for him if he comes to visit him after this tournament is all over, something which will make him more powerful than he ever dreamed of. Trunks is interested, but turns his attention back to the tournament. He is annoyed he can't show off his new sword skills to his father, sort of sighing, wondering who he will be fighting, as a character from one of his sister's cartoons stands in front of him. He's confused and a bit conflicted about punching this clearly lovable teddy bear in the face, but after playing around with his opponent for a few minutes and learning his body is built of some rubbery substance, making it almost impossible to knock him out of the ring with brute strength alone, Trunks flies forward, grabbing the leg of the Pooh Bear and throwing him out of the ring with all of his might, winning him a ring out. As a Frieza lookalike steps into the ring, Trunks remembers the beating he and his family had to survive back when Frieza arrived on Earth. Not wanting to play games with a guy who is likely evil, he shows off the power difference with his Super Saiyan 2 form, giving Trunks enough speed and power to quickly close the distance between himself and Frost, and then knock him out of the ring, laying him out on the ground, passed out. Trunks smiles, dropping down to base, rotating his arms, feeling warmed up now, while Champa is slightly stunned at the power of these Saiyans. He's ready to send it in now to get everything over with. However, having already arranged the fighters, he can't change the order. Vegeta's battle is fairly similar to the one in canon. Trunks, being Bulma's son, is easily able to sling an insult towards the robot, which not only causes it to weaken, but also make it leave the ring by choice. After all, he's a mechanic. He not only could judge the robot's structure, but also down to such a fine detail, it would likely be relatively scarring. But Trunks is also Goku's son, and would walk forward apologising and saying he just wanted to win, even pointing out how his body structure and making is very impressive, since it's not something he thinks he could make as an engineer, tapping the machine on the back and cheering up the robot. But Trunks had felt the heat in that battle. The dome and the steam had really fatigued him. The boy is willing to fight on. However, when Cabba enters the ring, Vegeta shouts out asking to battle the otherworldly Saiyan. Trunks, seeing this as a chance to catch his breath, agrees to do so, tapping out with Vegeta. As the apprentice Kai Vegeta gets ready to fight the Universe 6 Saiyan Cabba, this fight would go pretty much beat for beat like it did in canon, with the change being that base to base Cabba is actually a much stronger than Vegeta. Vegeta having to use his Super Saiyan form much faster. However, when learning, Cabba is unable to transform, he still takes the time to coach him through it, however in a different manner, having spent the last several years with the Kai. So Vegeta knows that sometimes patience and calmness is the best way forward. So instead of violence, he teaches him slowly and methodically, with the fight dragging on for 30 minutes so Cabba can eventually unlock the form, but it's here where Vegeta leaves Cabba with a lesson. Transforming into the stage beyond Super Saiyan, the Prince ascends to Super Saiyan 2. But from what everyone can tell, Vegeta is actually still weaker, even with him being in the grade above Super Saiyan. But Vegeta doesn't seem worried. Instead, he taunts Cabba to come and get him. The Saiyan, eager to test out his newfound strength, does so. However, before he can hit the Prince, the man disappears, reappearing behind Cabba using the Kai Kai to dodge the attack. Before Cabba can counter, he feels chains wrap around his arms and legs, which are connected to one another. Cabba goes to break the metal, only to learn he doesn't possess the power to do so, as Vegeta in a tauntingly manner admits that he could try for the next 100 years, but he won't be able to break those catchy-catching chains. As Cabba struggles to move, Vegeta walks forward, telling his new student that while power is a very important factor in a fight, the most important weapon in a warrior's arsenal is a good mind and crafty thinking. That will always decide who's stronger. At saying this, Vegeta Kai-Kai's Cabba over the edge of the ring, dropping him out. Goku smiles at seeing this as Vegeta smirks at his victory, looking up to Kakarot with a look that says they'll be fighting soon. Goku smiles at this as finally Hit touches down onto the arena floor, as everyone holds their breath in anticipation to see what this man can do. Goku, Piccolo, Vegeta and Trunks had all been watching him closely, and now are interested to observe what's going to happen. However, the moment the match is called, Vegeta finds himself face down in the dirt, and the match given to Hit. A few seconds passes as Nappa jumps down to help his friend up, and it's in this moment when Vegeta finally wakes up in the spectator ring, where he reports he didn't even see his opponent move. Hearing this, Nappa lifts his hands admitting he has little to no chance winning if Vegeta couldn't even see the guy moving. So Nappa decides to opt out of the fight, leaving the battle to just Trunks, Piccolo and Goku. Trunks is eager to rejoin the fight, jumping down to the arena and warming up a little bit before turning to his Super Saiyan 2 state once more. The boy's eyes stay locked on Hit, wanting to see a single movement, but much like Vegeta in almost a blink of an eye, he is tasting the dirt, but not for no reason, as Goku and Piccolo both think they have ideas on how to counter Hit after seeing him fight just a little bit. But Piccolo, being the first one on the roster, jumps down into the arena, ready to show off everything he's been working towards this last year. Ready to show off the path of a destroyer. Breathing in slightly, he takes a passive stance, before a purple-tinted aura lingers on his body, and his eyes turn purple as well. Champa and Vados stand at attention as the Namekian not only shows off Godly Ki, but also the power of a destroyer. Hit lifts an eyebrow at this, his expression going to that of interest, and Piccolo grins, telling the assassin to come and get him, and in the blink of the eye, he does so, closing the gap between himself and Piccolo, and the Namekian feeling a round of precise shots hitting him across his body. However, unlike the others, Piccolo doesn't fall, instead he hardly flinches, his incredible endurance allowing him to stay on his feet and remain unmoved, the purple aura around him building as each punch had landed, before throwing a punch forward. Hit, not having expected to not only see Piccolo standing but to be attacked, finds himself on the receiving end of a face shot, causing the assassin to trail backwards, slightly shocked. Piccolo presses his advantage, stretching out his arm to try and keep the fast-moving target in one spot, but once more Piccolo finds his opponent moving faster than he can see, as Hit once more closes the gap. This time, the blows delivered are able to push the godly Namekian backwards, but surges his aura once more. Piccolo grins at this, however, as he pulls his arm backwards. With his hand passing by Hit's head, he turns his wrist so his palm is facing towards the assassin's whole body, as an explosion of purple ki erupts from the palms of the Namekian. With a demon explosion wave going off, Hit is caught off guard and knocked off his feet by this attack, feeling a great deal of pain from that one attack. In the second that Hit's knocked off his feet, Piccolo rushes forward, wanting to go for a ring out, but that's when Piccolo feels a fist collide with his heart, causing Piccolo's body to lock up, and the assassin and Namekian to lock eyes. As Hit had realised finally that Piccolo was a Namekian, even with his off-colouring and slightly different attitude, he's 100% a Namekian, meaning he can throw a slightly more serious punch without worry of killing this guy. Their regeneration normally covers all of that. So in an instant, Hit sends off a barrage of deadly blows into Piccolo's currently paralysed body, and soon the shockwaves of the blows are enough to send Piccolo crashing out of the ring. Piccolo is annoyed as he watches the holes in his body heal up thanks to his Namekian biology, However, he can't help but be happy to see his new destroyer powers, even if it's in the early stages, are developing well, and he feels like the gap between himself and Goku are finally closing. He just needs to get used to using transformations more. As Goku helps his friend up to the spectator stand, he soon jumps down into the ring, hopping on the spot to warm up, being the last of the 7 fighters. With his interest in Goku somewhat peaked, since it's clear that himself and the Namekian are likely on level footing, if not this Saiyan might be just above him. As Hit waits for Goku to take on some form of transformation, wanting to have another interesting fight like that one with the Namekian, he watches as the man stays in his base state, taking a fighting stance. Hit is confused, upset and disappointed. He just wants to finish this fight now, so much like he had for the other Saiyans, he rushes towards them the moment the match has begun. But before he can hit Goku, a bright red flash of Goku's godly Ikari form erupts, and a knee is slammed directly into his stomach, not only stopping Hit's attack, but knocking the wind out of him, allowing Goku to throw a punch directly into Hit's face, causing the assassin to go flying backwards, only just catching himself from ringing out, as Goku shouts out, telling Hit that he got enough time to watch how the fighter moved, and has learnt the man's habits to some degree. So for the most part, he can predict his moves. Hit's interest is once again piqued, as he now realises that this Saiyan is going to be rather fun to fight, due to him having thrown a knee before he had reappeared. So, he's interested to see how the rest of it will play out. As back on Earth, Gohan is doing some light training in the gravity chamber, staying close to home while Videl rests back in their bed, wishing she could do some sparring right now, having gotten bored of being babied on by her husband. But it's in this moment both Videl and Gohan sense something. Up at Cell's home, the bug is in danger. His aura flares up and flares down. It feels like he's being attacked. Videl goes to shout for her husband, but the ground shakes and a loud bang follows, as Gohan has ripped through the roof of their home and flies off towards Cell at his top speed in his Super Saiyan 2 state. Even if he's grown suspicious of the bug recently, he cannot help but still view him as a dear friend. As Cell's home comes into view, Gohan gives one more burst of speed, crashing through Cell's walls, shouting out for his friend, but as the light trickles into the dark, gloomy room, Gohan's eyes widen in horror, as skeletons of creatures and what Gohan can only assume to be people are littered across this room. Gohan shouts out for Cell, concerned for his friend's safety, and now his own. Gohan keeping his arms lifted, guarding himself, ready for something to come out and attack him, but that's when Cell finally responds with a gentle breath of Gohan's name. Gohan, hearing this, turns his body, keeping his guard up to his chest, and when spotting the bug's shadowy figure lurking in the darkness of this home, he asks Cell what the hell is going on here, but as he asks this, he spots the husk of Cell's larval form. He can't figure out how that's possible though, since he had left that state many, many years ago. And this question is answered as another gentle cry of the hybrid's name echoes from behind him. Turning, he spots Cell's, but his eyes are red, and his skin looks a slightly different colour. Gohan's brain begins to rack, trying to figure out what's going on, what the hell is happening, but having one last look at the husk, the skeletons, and the 2 Cells, Gohan pieces it together, as he realises Cell was the monster. As this thought hits his brain, his body immediately screams for him to play defensive, but instantly, a sharp pain rips into Gohan's torso, and he feels his life force being ripped forcefully from him. Gohan turns to lock eyes with Cell. It's his Cell. Blue eyes, green skin. He knows it's him. He wants to ask why or what's going on. He wants to try and fight back, but is stunned when seeing Cell's eyes, which are plastered with sadness, desperation, and regret. For a second, Gohan could swear he almost hears the bug apologising, but before he can vocalise anything, the Saiyan feels himself slipping to the afterlife, only for his body to suddenly feel like it's stiffening up and go hard as a wob of spit hits the back of his neck and he's turned to stone. The 2 Cells look at one another, sharing the same look of sadness for a second, before the one who had absorbed Gohan lifts his hand out towards his fellow Cell, telling his partner it is time they become one once more. The bug walks into the light, showing off his blue skin, and opening his arms, embracing its fate, as he thanks his father for giving it a chance at life. The original Cell sheds a singular tear for not only his lost friend, but also his offspring, as he absorbs every part of the child he created. But soon, a smile runs across his face, as he feels all the power he had ever dreamed of having, all the power his child had collected, all the power Gohan had provided surging through his body, and much like Cell had hoped, it forces the first stage of his metamorphosis, dubbing himself semi-perfect. But it seems it wasn't enough. His child had killed thousands, absorbing many, many life forms' energy, but it wasn't enough. So it seems he will have to complete this task himself, and he knows just where to get the perfect amount of feed. But that's where I'll be leaving it for now. I hope everyone enjoyed this part. I know things with the tournament feel either a bit rushed and a bit clunky. The tournament's really boring to cover, to be quite honest. I almost skipped over it entirely to have this be the last part of everything. But yeah, no, I decided to have it and kind of have it as a bit of a setup for what's going on with Cell. So I hope people don't mind that. The next part of this series will be the last one. I have no intention to go any further with Super. I'll show you why in the next part. But yeah, I hope everyone has enjoyed this series and is enjoying the twists and turns I've taken with Cell. With that all being said, I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and hopefully I'll see you next time.